Hello guys, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be making my predictions for game week 23 of the 25-26 Premier League season. But before we begin, as always, let's see how I did last week. I only got the one outcome correct, so that is 1 point, taking my season total up to 129. And this is how the Premier League table looks after 22 matches. And without further ado, let's predict this weekend's matches. And we're going to start with tomorrow's early kickoff. It's West Ham United against Sunderland in a battle of two sides that won last week. West Ham with a 2-1 win against Tottenham. Sunderland with a 2-1 comeback win against Crystal Palace. It's tricky, this one. It is at the London Stadium, and I do prefer West Ham at home. Although West Ham haven't been very impressive this season, that's why they're in the bottom three. And Sunderland, they've lost a couple matches on the road, still unbeaten at home this season. I just think that, I like West Ham at home, but I can't look past Sunderland either. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw on this one. I think a point wouldn't really help either on their fight for survival in European football, but I do think a draw is where it will end. 1-1 between two sides that aren't on the greatest run of form recently. Next up, we've got Fulham against Brighton. And this is an interesting one. Fulham with a loss last game week. They lost 1-0 to Leeds. Brighton with a 1-0 draw, last minute comeback draw against Bournemouth last game week. This is a Craven Cottage. I like Fulham. Yeah, despite their defeat to Leeds, they are on good form. And Brighton, they've tended to draw quite a lot of games at the minute. And given Fulham's record, Fulham have not actually lost to Brighton at Craven Cottage in the Premier League. So I just think with Fulham with the form, the home advantage and that record, I think Fulham might edge it. I'm going for Fulham to win 2-1. I don't know how it's going to end up. It could be a draw, but I do think Fulham just have enough of the 3 points. 2-1 Fulham to go back into the top half maybe. Next up we've got Burnley against Tottenham Hotspur. And Burnley, off the back of a 1-0 draw against Liverpool last week. Tottenham off the back of a 2-1 defeat in the Premier League to West Ham. Of course, they did get a 2-0 win against Borussia Dortmund in the Champions League in the midweek. But this is a Turf Moor, and we know that Burnley like to at least draw games at home. Spurs, they are better on the road this season than they are at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I think Burnley just have their eye on the ball right now. I think they've got enough quality for a draw. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I think I could, if I had to pick a winner, I would pick Spurs, given their, maybe potential confidence after their Champions League victory. But I think Burnley have enough for a draw here, 1-1. Next up, we've got Manchester City against Wolves. And this is another big match as well. Not really big, but Wolves are still unbeaten in 2026. And Manchester City haven't been on a great run of form recently. They're off the back of a 2-0 defeat to Manchester United in the Manchester derby last weekend, and then midweek losing 3-1 to Bodo Glimt in the Champions League. Things are looking bleak for them, but they are back at the Etihad. I could see Wolves getting something. I don't think Wolves will win. I could see Wolves getting a draw here. but it is at the Etihad. It is Man City. They just signed Mark Gahey as well from Crystal Palace. They've got Haaland. I think it might be a draw, and Man City leave it late and snatch a victory somewhere. Maybe an Erling Haaland goal. I'm going Man City to edge it 2-1, but I think it's gonna be close. And I was originally thinking maybe a 4-1 City domination, but Wolves are quite tight at the minute. So. And this season, so I'm going 2-1 to City. City edge it just. Next up, we've got Bournemouth against Liverpool. And Bournemouth coming off the back of a 1-1 draw against Brighton in the South Coast Derby on Monday evening. They led for so long in that match, and of course that incredible Kostoulas goal in the 90th minute to equalise for Brighton. Liverpool, off the back of, as I said previously, the 1-1 draw against Burnley in the Premier League, but they are off the back of, I think, 2 nights ago, a 3-0 victory over Marseille in the Champions League. I feel like Liverpool's confidence might be up after that result, but I'm not sure if it's that easy, because the Champions League, the likes of Spurs and Liverpool, they tend to be getting results over the line, and in the Premier League they seem to be struggling a bit more than they are in the major European competition. And at the Vitality Stadium, Bournemouth, when I've seen them play, have been actually quite strong. They've been quite good, despite not getting, I think it's 1 win in 13 or something. Despite not getting the results over the line, they're putting good performances. I'm going to go for another 1-1 draw. I think if it was at Anfield, I would pick Liverpool to win, but seeing as it's the Vitality and Bournemouth have played well, I'm going to go a draw, a point apiece, 1-1. Next up, we've got Crystal Palace against Chelsea in a battle of two sides that weren't on good form. Crystal Palace, absolutely, well, they're in dire straits right now. 2-1 loss to Sunderland last week in the Premier League. I mean, they were 1-0 up, and they somehow let the lead slide. They're against a Chelsea side who, since sacking Enzo Maresca, bringing in Lim Rosenior, they have seemed to be getting results over the line a bit more consistently, although they did only just scrape past Paphos 1-0 midweek in the Champions League. I don't know. It is at Selhurst Park, but obviously Palace have lost Mark Gahey. There's talks of Oliver Glasner leaving at least in the summer, at the end of the season. And, I think John-Philippe Mateta wants to leave. There are some big players that do want to leave, and Chelsea's been alright. I'm gonna edge Chelsea 2-1. I don't think it'll be easy for them. Maybe Palace equalise, and then Chelsea find a last-minute winner through maybe Cole Palmer or someone. But I think a 2-1 Chelsea, and a crucial 3 points to push back towards Champions League qualification. Next up, we've got Newcastle United against Aston Villa in a big scrap for European football as well. Newcastle United with a 3-0 drumming of PSV Eindhoven in the Champions League midweek, and in the Premier League last time out, they drew 0-0 with Wolves. Aston Villa with a 1-0 defeat to Everton. That ended their unbeaten home record. It was a Tierno Barry goal. He's on fire. I'm sure we'll talk more about him and Jack Grealish when we get to Everton, but I do think that Villa's form has been quietly going under the radar a bit. It's kind of started to fall off a bit. This is at St James's Park, and I do feel like the Newcastle fans will be buzzing, but Villa will want a reaction to that defeat against Everton. I think if I had to pick a winner, I may pick Newcastle, but I'm going to go for a 2-all draw. I think there's going to be goals. I think there's going to be quality, but I think there's going to be a show of the spoils here, and both sets of fans will be unhappy. But a 2-all draw on the Desmond is where I'm going on this one. Next up, we've got Brentford against Nottingham Forest. And this is a tricky one to call. Brentford, off the back of a 2-0 defeat to Chelsea last time out, and Nottingham Forest off the back of a 0-0 draw against Arsenal last week, which isn't the end of the world by any stretch of the imagination. They've got a point, and well, West Ham did win, so they've actually dropped 2 points on that relegation scrap. But as much as convinced as I am that Sean Dyche will keep Forest up, or Forest will stay up, I can't look past Brentford at home at the G-Tech. Brentford on their day against smaller sides can get results over the line and score goals. I'm going all in on the Bees. I don't know why. I think Brentford's quality might show here. Brentford win 3-1. I think if it was at the City ground, I may be back in a draw, but I can see Brentford winning at the G-Tech. 3-1 Brentford. Let's go all in on the Bees. Next up, we've got Arsenal against Manchester United. And this is going to be a good game, this. Manchester United off the back of winning the Manchester derby 2-0. Arsenal off the back of a 0-0 draw against Nottingham Forest, as I just said. Arsenal don't seem to be as threatening in the Premier League at the minute, though they did just beat Inter Milan 3-1 in the Champions League in the midweek. I think there's going to be goals here. At the Emirates, I think this game is going to have goals, because Michael Carrick kind of seems to be getting Manchester United firing again. Arsenal will be revved up over that away win in the Champions League in midweek. I think there's going to be goals, but I can't look past Arsenal at home. I think Arsenal may just snatch it. I'll go Arsenal to win 3-2. I think I wouldn't surprise me if it was low scoring. It wouldn't surprise me if either side won. But I'm going with goals, and I'm going for the Gunners. 3-2 to remain, well, about 7 points clear at the top of the table. And then finally, 8 PM kickoff on the Monday night, it's Everton against Leeds United. And Leeds are on pretty good form, despite that last-minute 4-3 defeat to Newcastle. They're in pretty good form. Just off the back of beating Fulham 1-0 last game week. Everton off the back of a 1-0 victory themselves over Aston Villa. Tierno Barry, I think he's scored, 3 Premier League games in a row? It wouldn't surprise me if he scored again here. I can't separate these two. I'm going for a 1-all draw. I'm going Tierno Barry, and I was going to go Calvert-Lewin, but Nemecha seems to be banging them in. I'll go 1-all, and I'll throw a bonus prediction out. Tierno Barry for Everton and Nemecha for Leeds. So a 1-all draw to end the video on with. And there you have it, guys. All 10 of this weekend's Premier League predictions done and dusted. Make sure to let me know your predictions in the comments down below. I'd love to read them, and we'll see how well these predictions turn out next week. And I'll see you all in a bit.